Welcome back to Beauty Bee. I am currently on a no buy. I have been since roughly the first week of May, so a little over 2 months at this point. This no buy is part of an ongoing project that I have of trying to just purchase makeup less often. My thought is that I'll do this pretty much seasonally. My intention is to spend about $35 each in August, November, February, maybe late January. I'm not as tied to those dates. And then a little bit more in April to coincide with my birthday. I am interested in makeup. I like to use somewhat colorful makeup. I like my color cosmetics. And I do like to try new things, refresh once in a while. I also don't have a particularly large collection, so while I can definitely do quite a nice variety of looks for every day, I cannot make every look that I could want to with what I have in my collection. So, the last few weeks, I've been thinking about what I would really like to buy with this $35 price limit. And right about every week for the past month or a little bit more, I've been putting together a list of if I made my purchase today, what would I get? Now, I haven't looked over these past lists since I made them, but I thought it would be interesting to go through them with you and then figure out how much my desires have or haven't changed over the past few weeks. And maybe we can analyze them and learn something about what I want that will help me be more confident in my purchases. Now, as it turns out, I can talk for 42 minutes about things I might want to buy, and I have editing software that likes to crash at just over 20 minutes. Therefore, I'm splitting this into two videos. The first will cover the first 3 weeks, and the second will be on the last 2 weeks, as well as reflections. I will link the second video down in the description once it's posted, and I will also have it linked up in the cards, assuming that I can figure out how to do that after posting. Okay, back to the video. There was a pretty soft $35 threshold. I didn't care if I went to 37. That was fine. And I didn't feel the need to spend all 35. I think that the one I put together yesterday came to like 33. So yeah, we're not worrying too much. And there was no particular store that I was looking at. I know I looked at Ulta once. I definitely looked at Walmart yesterday. So let's see what I did. The very first time I sat down and did this, I was planning to purchase 4 items. I will put pictures up here. The BH Cosmetics Romantic Nomad palette was first. I honestly can't remember exactly what this palette looks like, which isn't a great sign that I should get it. Um, it was $12. My guess is that this is a half neutral, half somewhat muted, colorful palette. That's definitely what I've been drawn to over the past few weeks. The second item was the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Blush Lighter. Now this is a glowy powder duo. There's a sort of a blush shade and a highlight shade. I think this comes in a variety of different colors, but I think the one that I particularly wanted had a pink shade and an almost white, maybe a very slightly pink highlighter in it. Because I remember this, I wanted something super glowy. In my current collection, I do not have a highlighter that is meant for that purpose. I have a lot of light colored eyeshadows that I use as highlighters, but I do feel that the textures of some of the products that are intended for the eyes are not fantastic for the face, and I think I kind of wanted to improve upon that. In this fantasy scenario, I also picked up two lip colors. The Maybelline Superstay Ink Crayon in the shade Speak Your Mind, and the Color Sensational Lipstick in Flush Punch. Okay, so I looked up the two lip colors. Speak Your Mind is one of the matte ink crayons. I've never tried one of these, but I do like the matte inks, which are the liquid form. This is sort of a very red leaning pink. Um, it's a pretty color. I would wear that, definitely. Flush Punch is an odd choice, I think. I don't think this color would actually be particularly flattering on me. This is a pretty warm, sort of peachy looking nude. Yeah, I don't think this would be good on me. I don't know why I picked this out. It's a color that looks pretty in the bullet, but I don't think would translate particularly well on my lip color. Good to know. Week two, I went kind of a different direction. This time I got two eye palettes, both from Wet n Wild. The Stop Playing Safe, which is Wet n Wild's take on the Tropic palette from Natasha Denona, and the Comfort Zone. Now, I've actually owned the Comfort Zone palette in the past, though it was still when they had 8 pans, and I used quite a bit of it actually. I think I used the lightest shade completely up, and I'd hit some significant pan in sort of the green silvery shade and the rose gold. I think that the blue brown shade in mine ended up shattering and it kind of just made a mess of the entire thing and I ended up decluttering it. But I really enjoyed the palette and I think I would enjoy having it now as well. I think that the reason that I picked Comfort Zone is that it has quite a variety of pretty neutral but somewhat interesting neutral shades. I don't have, for example, a rose gold right now. I don't have that sort of gray silver shade right now either. But I think I have things that are close enough to them in my collection that they're not a it's not a great palette for me to purchase right now. Stop Playing Safe, I did a little bit more research on, and it did not get great reviews. Definitely the color that drew me in were the sort of peachy shades on the left half of the palette, and those are supposed to be pretty good from what I have heard. But I watched Emily Noel's review, and the green and the blue are apparently garbage, which that's 20% of the palette, and I need that part of the palette to be good. So I think those are off my list for now. I also, at this point, thought I should get a shadow primer. I just chose the Wet n Wild one. This is more a refresh than anything for me. I do need a shadow primer probably in the next few months. I might be able to wait until November because there is definitely quite a bit of product left in the tube, but I don't quite know if I would make it that far. I think this is the week that I would have purchased the most items because I also would have gotten an LA Girl blush in the shade Just Peachy, as well as two Revlon Super Lustrous lipsticks. There's one shade that I have owned before, Pink in the Afternoon, which is so pretty. Pink in the Afternoon is supposed to be a dupe for the color that Audrey Hepburn wears in Breakfast at Tiffany's. I remember that the first time I watched that movie, I went up to my room and I immediately searched what lipstick she was wearing because it's the prettiest color. And I wore it a lot when I had it. I think I ended up using up about half the tube, and then I ended up using the lipstick tube as a tool to press a button on something because it was misbehaving, and it snapped. That's very sad. That was a lot. I also thought about picking up Sassy Mauve from Revlon, which is a slightly deeper, somewhat more spicy, I guess, version of the lipstick that I've been wearing so much recently, Blushing Mauve, sort of as a replacement. I was thinking of this as a semi replacement for Blushing Mauve. I am getting close to being done with that tube, and I thought that I would update it to something just a little bit deeper for fall and winter. Now, I think I did a good job of deal hunting this week. Nothing is particularly expensive. In fact, the most expensive item that I would have purchased was the Just Peachy blush from LA Girl. But I don't know that I want to add 6 items to my stash. That's kind of a lot. All right, so now we're jumping forward a week, and again, I'm going to pick up the Wet n Wild Shadow Primer. That's pretty much a need. I don't know that I can make it to November. So I think that might actually appear in the next two as well. Oh, and this was the week that I thought I might put in an order at ColourPop. So my first and the biggest item that I would have gotten was the Build Your Own palette from ColourPop. I would have picked out one that had 12 eyeshadows, and I'll put a picture up here. This, I was a little disappointed at ColourPop because they had very few of their shades available. Um, uh, Most of their interesting shades were out of stock. So I can actually walk through my thought process with a lot of these. I knew that I wanted a peach matte and a peach shimmer. Those are just shades that I do not have. I actually suspect they will come up a lot in the next couple weeks as well because they're shades that I have owned in the past, really enjoyed, but have used up. And I find a peach look a really easy one to wear, especially in spring and summer. I got another cool matte, and I got a cool matte transition shade to somewhat replace the Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells transition shade that I'm getting close to running out of. And I sort of filled out the rest of my order with some duochromes, some interesting shimmer shades, and 2 bright mattes. I'm particularly interested in that bright yellow. That's really pretty. The other bonus of this palette to me was that with ColourPop Build Your Own Palette, you get the empty magnetic palette. I do not have a Z palette or similar, so I thought that this would be a really nice thing to get if I chose eventually to depot some shadows. Because I've been interested in doing that for a while, and I have 1 or 2 palettes that are definitely nearing the end of their lives, and 60% of it has definitely gone, but there's a couple shades that I really like and would like to get some more use out of. I thought that might be a convenient way for me to store them and get good use out of them without needing to keep an entire palette for 1 or 2 shades. And finally, I would have picked up a lipstick, the ColourPop Just a Tint in the shade Always Right, which I believe is a light pink shade. I have ColourPop Just a Tint. It's in a warm red, sort of a slightly orangey red. It's really nice. I like the formula. I wear it quite a bit. I actually have another one in a berry shade at my apartment. but haven't used that in a few months because I haven't been to my apartment in a few months. But yeah, I could see myself purchasing another one of those. I really do like them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this entertaining, helpful, or just interesting. I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye!